amazing, but it's cold. Cold is the theme for our trip.
Hi, I'm Uni.
And I'm Annette. We are a mother-daughter duo who are tackling the globe one country at a time.
Join us to see how we explore each city while traveling with my two boys under the age of 3. On this episode, we'll be visiting our friendly neighbors to the north in Ontario, Canada. Stretching from Niagara Falls all the way to the amazing city of Toronto. As always, if you're traveling by car, please make sure you get your car serviced prior to embarking upon your road trip. And if you're traveling with small children as well, please make sure that you're loading up on snacks and activities prior to leaving the house. If you can stay awake, leave in the middle of the night or early in the morning to maximize on those hours of sleep in the car. This way you may be able to squeeze out just a little bit more road before needing to stretch your legs with the kids. For those who don't know, Niagara Falls is located on the border between the United States and Canada. There's New York on one side and the province of Ontario on the other. We as passport holders love to go to the Canadian side because unfortunately, I hate to admit, but it is a lot cleaner than the New York side. I also find the Canadian side to be a bit more well-maintained, I should say, than the New York side. Sorry, New York, I love you still.
How you feeling, Mama?
I feel good. We made it to Canada.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I haven't been to Niagara Falls since I was a little girl, and I remember it being beautiful. As an adult, going back here after many years, it is still beautiful. It's amazing. The amount of water that just continues to flow over the falls is crazy. I can't imagine where that much water would be coming from.
What I didn't know prior to arriving is that Niagara Falls actually consists of 3 separate waterfalls. The Horseshoe Falls, the American Falls, and the Bridal Falls. Under the right conditions, these magnificent running waters can actually freeze over. It was not quite that cold, but we got close.
It is so cold. Oh my God.
It was freezing cold outside at the falls, as we've already said. There was wind spray. The water was coming off of the falls and hitting us in the faces. We were a little concerned that the children might be too cold, so we decided to go inside. We went into the visitor center where it was nice and warm and toasty. There were really nice people in there who were very helpful.
Not to mention the eateries with the hot tea and coffee. For those of you who saw episode 1, you'll know that my mom is on a quest to find a magnet to put on the fridge for every destination that we visit together. This was our primary objective when we went inside to the gift shop. If we're being real, the thing that stood out to me most about the gift shop at Niagara Falls was the prices. Some of these basic hats that someone like me, a non-sewer, can probably make at home ended up being $20, $30, $40, even $70. I felt that was a little bit excessive. I don't know about you, but I've never been cold enough to justify spending $70 on a hat. I did, however, find one that was about $20, and I purchased 2 to last me for the rest of the trip. Prior to leaving Cleveland, the weather was actually quite nice, but as we drove around the lake, the temperature kept dropping, and at that point I realized that I had not packed appropriately. So, gift shop at Niagara Falls, 1 point for you, -1 for me.
After traveling all morning and standing and watching the beautiful falls, we had to go to the bathroom. The bathroom was clean and did not have a negative smell.
The stalls, however, were a bit too narrow to accommodate a stroller, so it was challenging to use the facilities with a toddler and an infant in tow.
After using the bathroom, we loaded up the kids into the car seats, and then we started the drive towards Toronto, which took approximately an hour and a half. It was too early to check into our hotel, so we went to visit the CN Tower.
The observation deck of this iconic landmark is 1,136 feet in the air. Fun fact about me, I am completely afraid of heights. I don't know where it came from, but as I got older, that phobia got worse and worse. So as an adult, I've been systematically trying to expose myself to extreme heights so that I can look brave in front of my son and also conquer my fears. That is what brought us to the CN Tower in Toronto, which is one of the tallest buildings in the entire world.
We arrived at the CN Tower and followed the signs for the parking garage. Lo and behold, it was easy to find, and the garage was underground. It was across the street from the actual CN Tower. It was well lit, and there were ample parking spaces clearly marked.
We're in downtown Toronto. How y'all feeling?
Cold.
Cold.
That's the thing.
We visited the CN Tower on a Thursday. However, I still expected it to be fairly crowded, so we did end up purchasing our tickets online in advance. You have the option to put an add-on for the SkyPod, which is 33 stories higher than the actual tower. That add-on was just $10 more than general admission prices. For adults 14 through 64, the price range was $43 to $45 based off of how popular the time was that you chose to visit. For seniors 65 and up, $30 to $32. Youth 6 to 13 was $30 to $32. And for children age 3 to 5, it was $14 to $16. For me, I was traveling with a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old, so I got them in for free. So of course, this is a very costly expedition, especially when you factor in going with multiple people, multiple children, and adding on that extra $10 per person for the SkyPod. This is the first time in all the years that I've been visiting Ontario that I've chosen to do this, and I probably wouldn't do it again. So I figured it was an investment for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I am not upset about how much I paid to go. Once we finally found the right elevators to get up to the SkyPod, we started our ascent up into the clouds. We're going up to the SkyPod. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. A minute on the elevator.
Just along for the ride.
Just along for the ride.
We went up to the SkyPod, and even though this cost $10 more, I personally do not feel that it was worth it. The windows were a little cloudy / opaque, and the view wasn't all that good. However, my grandson was mesmerized by looking out through the windows at the SkyPod. I would think after having visited Burj Khalifa in Dubai that this experience was a little less thrilling than that one.
Even though it was absolutely freezing outside, the skies were pretty clear, and we were very fortunate to be able to get a day where the water looked so blue and the view was so clear of all of downtown. There was no fog, there were no clouds, and it was sunshine all around, a 360 view. The best thing about this view was that we could see the entire train system of downtown Toronto, which my son absolutely loved. What are our thoughts about the observation deck?
It was decent, but it wasn't Burj Khalifa.
It was not the Burj Khalifa. You're correct.
There was no bonbons at the top.
Ooh. We didn't stay very long up there. It was time for another nutritious lunch, which I'm now realizing after watching back these videos that we should probably lay off the chicken tenders and french fries.
Despite the fried foods, we had a great family meal at the top of the observation deck, and we will have memories that will last a lifetime.
After spending a few hours taking in the sights of the city as well as chasing my toddler around the CN Tower, we were ready to make our way downstairs, head back to the car, and try to look for our hotel. Of course, we had to walk through a gift shop in order to get out, but after those $70 hats at Niagara Falls, I was more than okay to keep on walking by.
Overall, it was a lovely day in downtown Toronto. Luckily for us, because we were tired, our hotel was only 5 minutes away. My first impression of the hotel when we walked in was, wow, this is really nice.
My first impression of the Marriott was actually shock. When I walked into the lobby, I was so astounded by how beautiful it was. The wood finishes, the recessed lighting, everything was super clean and polished. And I had just never thought about the Marriott brand that way. I've always seen it as just like a budget brand hotel, passing it by on the highways, and I've never actually stayed at the Marriott before. But this is part of the Bonvoy collection, and if you download the Bonvoy app, you'll get some extra perks, you'll get free Wi-Fi, and fortunately for us, we had signed up for the room package that included the free breakfast buffet as well as free hors d'oeuvres during the day.
We entered the hotel room and I found it to be pretty spacious and it was clean. Again, I always look for the same things when I walk into a room. Make sure that it doesn't smell funny, in a negative way, or that there's a lot of stains that you just can't imagine setting foot on, etc. There was a really nice view outside the bay picture window that my grandson was able to look out and see the city in the courtyard below. It was really nice. Within the room, there was a closet, there was a room safe. You had access to a coffee bar if that's what you wanted. The bathrooms were clean and spotless. The lighting was good. And guess what? There was great shower pressure there. So I'm always a fan of good shower pressure. When sleeping at night, the beds were very comfortable. And it was just a nice place to be. It was homey and it was quiet. There was not a lot of noise in the hallways. And it felt really good to be in that property. I would highly recommend this hotel to anyone who was visiting Toronto.
There were some minor cosmetic issues with the room, nothing too serious. There were some chips in the old cabinets, the old furniture. There was a little bit of dust here and there. However, it was not enough to dampen the joy that we felt staying at this hotel.
After arrival, we decided that we were hungry. We had access to the club lounge, so we went downstairs to see what that was all about.
Listen, so this is my first experience with the Marriott brand and my first experience using the Bonvoy app. So I had no idea what I was actually signing up for when I decided to choose a room that included the club access. I am still astonished at how amazing this add-on was at such a reasonable price. I believe we only paid an extra $30 or $35 per night for this add-on, and we had access to a slew of different drinks, apple juice, orange juice, sodas. If you wanted coffee, it was there. There were chips, pretzels, bananas, and also very high quality hors d'oeuvres available all throughout the day. You could find some pretty fancy stuff that would have cost quite a bit if you went to a restaurant and ordered them. So I was really grateful to have that all included. The decor in here was also, yet again, really phenomenal. Everything was clean and the staff were so attentive and friendly. They came right up to me, asked me how I was, how my travels were, shared a little bit of information about themselves, and I felt like I really was given the customer service that I had been sorely lacking at a ton of other hotel chains.
We took a tour of the hotel just to see what it had to offer. We explored the floor that had the pool and the gym. I am not the person who is going to work out on a vacation, so it was very nice, but it wasn't for me. There was lots of equipment. You could have free weights or you can use the machines, but as I said, not for me. Right next to the gym, there was the pool. The pool was very inviting, and my 2-year-old grandson could not wait to get it. When he saw it, he said, "Pool, pool, pool." In the pool area on the deck, there were ample towels that you could use when you got out of the water. It was, I guess, close to the rooftop, so there was a nice view of the city of Toronto downtown, and there was ample space and chairs for other people to sit. We entered the pool because my grandson wanted to swim, and the water literally felt like a bathtub. There was a hot tub, but the water in the pool was so nice and warm for such a freezing cold day outside.
I always tour the business center as if I'm going to be pulled into a really important meeting at 2 in the morning. And this one had really great facilities for what you would expect for a business center: a printer, scanner, faxer, a couple of computers, and fast internet speeds. After our long drive, our detour to Niagara Falls, and our excursion at the CN Tower, we were exhausted. No more adventures for this night. We decided to go down to the hotel lobby and have dinner there, and boy, were we not disappointed. The wings that they had at this hotel bar, I am still salivating over it. They were fried to perfection.
At the club breakfast, there was an omelet station. You can have your omelet the way you desired, and you can pick what you wanted inside your omelet, and that's always a great addition to any hotel. There were the hot food stations, which included hot cereal like oatmeal, and you can have all the fixings, including cinnamon, raisin, brown sugar, etc. There were eggs, there were bacon, sausage, turkey sausage. You could have coffee, tea, orange juice, apple juice, or anything you desired. My favorite are the croissants, so you could have chocolate croissants or regular croissants. Overall, it was a good experience, and once you were done eating, you had enough food to last for a few hours. And if not, you can grab an apple or a banana to go so you have something to eat later on.
I realized at some point during the night, by looking out the windows by the elevators, that there was a mall directly across the courtyard. All we had to do was exit the back of the hotel, walk across the concrete, and we were there. You know me, Miss Adidas. I had to go and see what the flagship store in Toronto was all about. What was a little disheartening was that there were homeless camps everywhere on the patio from the hotel to the mall. I didn't feel like my safety was a concern whatsoever. It was just really challenging to see the difference in the opulence of the hotel versus the squalor that there was outside. But I guess that can technically be found in any major city. Whenever going shopping in a foreign country, it is always imperative that you look up the exchange rate before you start shopping, whether you're using cash or a credit card. Fortunately, the US dollar was pretty strong in comparison to the Canadian dollar at this time, so I was able to get quite a few things from Adidas for a price that I found to be reasonable. Ask my husband if he agrees. We're walking through the city. What are we gonna get?
Poutine. I hope it's good. Never had it before.
I was on a mission in Toronto to try poutine, so we decided to walk to supposedly the best poutine place in Toronto. On our walk, we saw museums. We passed through Chinatown and saw a plethora of restaurants that could be good to eat. We saw the skyline of Toronto downtown.
When I originally made the decision to walk to the poutine truck, it didn't seem as far as it truly was, mainly because it was the time of day where the sun is beginning to set and it starts to get freezing. It went from a nice, brisk walk to a freezing, shivering cold trek through Chinatown. However, I had made the plan and I was going to see it through, shivers or not. So we've made it to the poutine place.
And we walked and we walked.
And we walked and we walked and we walked. What they give you?
I got a number.
What's your name? What's your number?
I got a number. It's going to be 15 minutes. I'm going to try this poutine, and I hope it's worth the walk and the wait.
Period. As someone with a ton of allergies, I was not really too interested in trying the poutine, so I decided to stop at a shawarma truck that was right next door. What's the word? What's the word? It's good? Let's see. Wow, that looks interesting for sure. What's it taste like?
I don't know. I've never tasted anything like this before.
It's
the fries and the gravy are really hot, and then the cheese is like ice cold.
interesting.
So that's what I said. But would I eat this again? Yeah. But I might try the jerk chicken next time. Now that it's here, if I had waited a minute to bite it with the cheese would have been softer. My first few bites, the cheese tastes good, but it was hard. But now it's soft, so it's melting with all the gravy and stuff. It's good.
I think we can consider this a mission accomplished. No Canada trip would be complete without a visit to Dundas Square, which is their equivalent of Times Square in New York City. I love Dundas Square because you really feel the pulse of the city. You see people from all walks of life, tourists, business people, students, and even artists that are on the street playing music and hoping for tips. I love this part of Toronto. And of course, the trip would not be complete without a trip to Uniqlo.
In Dundas Square, my daughter took us to a new store that I'd never tried before called Uniqlo. It was a really nice store, and they had what I consider comfortable clothing. So my daughter took me on a shopping spree there, and I got quite a few items that were reasonably priced. Overall, our trip to Canada was really good. We had good times, good laughs, lots of fun. We saw a lot of interesting things. We met a lot of interesting people. And I think that Canada is a really good place for a family visit that's just down the street. It didn't take a lot to get there, and it was really worth seeing. So I highly recommend the trip to Toronto in everyone's future.
Thanks for tuning in. Join us for the next stop on our tour, Seoul, South Korea.